Zo, we zijn alweer gekomen bij de 10e maand van Gods kalender, van de Bijbelse kalender. En deze 10e maand hebben we eigenlijk een start gemaakt waarin 2 feesten bij elkaar kwamen. Het chanuka-feest, het feest van het licht, en het kerstfeest waar Jezus het licht is geworden. En het mooie van deze 2 feesten is dat God voorziet, maar dat het soms wel anders gaat als wij hadden gedacht. Niemand had gedacht dat Jezus geboren zou worden in een arme, kwetsbare omgeving, in een broodbak. Maar toch werd hij de koning der koningen. En met chanuka had niemand verwacht dat God de kandelaar weer terug zou brengen nadat de vijand zoveel had geroofd. En dat hij ook voorzag in olie. En zo is het in ons leven ook, dat God soms ons op een pad brengt waar we niet dachten te komen. En daar gaan de gasten van vandaag ons ook over vertellen. Rita, die als Joodse vrouw al 35 jaar geleden geïmigreerd is naar Jeruzalem, naar Israël. En uiteindelijk op de berg Karmel terecht is gekomen. Nooit had gedacht waar God haar voor riep. En wat dacht je van Ellen? Ze is 73 als ze echt duidelijk Gods stem verstaat om te gaan naar het beloofde land. En nu ze 86 is, mag ze tot zegen zijn voor Gods volk. Maar ze had het zelf nooit bedacht. En zo leidt God ons. Ook dit nieuwe jaar, waarin we de kalender van het Westen net zijn begonnen, op wegen die we niet hadden bedacht. Maar hij houdt ons vast. Hij is bij ons. Hij zorgt voor ons. En als we ons uitstrekken, zoals het schilderij hierachter, naar hem, dan zal hij ons geven wat we nodig hebben, leiden op de weg en dan gaan we mooie avonturen meemaken. Ga je mee? Dan luisteren we naar Rita op de berg Karmel en daarna gaan we naar Galilea, waar Ellen ons een bijzonder verhaal vertelt. En daarna zingen we met elkaar en dat doen we met een prachtige groep van allerlei generaties in het Joods en in het Hebreeuws, in het Engels en in het Nederlands. Hij is de Heer der Heren. Hij is onze vredevorst. En met hem mogen we dit nieuwe seizoen op pad gaan. God zegen.
So Rita, I'm so happy to hear a little bit about how God brought you to this place, and especially how things sometimes end up differently than you would think.
Okay, I came here because I'm Jewish and we came as immigrants here, and my heart was to do something for my people. And after a number of years, I had the opportunity to establish a shelter for women. And I assumed, of course, they would be women from our country, from our nation, who were in need of help, who were fleeing bad situations in their homes. But because we have a God full of surprises, I found myself in 2006 being asked to take a Sudanese woman, which was just the very, very beginning of a movement of thousands of Sudanese and Eritrean asylum seekers who came to us from the Sinai, from Egypt, in need of care, in need of love.
I was also wondering, what can you say about God working in our lives, and the dreams that we have can be so different from what will happen?
You know, God's plans are perfect and his ways are much higher. I think he always wants a willing heart, someone who is willing to say, Hineni, here I am. And many times we may say it, but we already have such a pre-established thought of what that is. I think we have to stay open, and when surprises come like that, and I felt a very distinct word in my ear that God spoke to me at that moment, that this was something that was going to grow. No idea. Nobody knew there were refugees coming, that there were refugees in Egypt. We weren't really thinking about it. But you have to stay in tune with His will,
Wow.
with your ear open to hear.
Yes. So one last question I have for you, Rita. People now are celebrating the feasts for the first time in the Netherlands with the book Manna for Every Day. What was so special for you when you were in this land to celebrate the times of God?
I think all of them are in a new way, but especially Pesach, especially the time when we gather together and we are commanded to tell it to our children, and sitting at a table knowing almost every apartment, every home. And this really was made clear to us during COVID because people were standing on their balconies singing, that we're really a people that came out of Egypt, and we've come symbolically from the Egypt of our own lives, and that we've come into this land to be free, to fulfill the vision and the promise of God.
My name is Ellen Williams, and I've lived here in Israel for the last 13 years. And I was called here by God. I was in a church in America, and the people who were in charge of the church, I would say pastor and his wife, the wife got up and pointed at me and said, "God's sending you to Israel." And at the time that prophecy came with a lot of other words, I was not in any way ready to go to Israel. I was 73 at that time, and I decided that I'd heard enough about going to Israel. At the end of the sermon, I got up and went out and went back home. As I got halfway up that mountain, I heard God say to me in a very audible voice, "I'm not on your journey, you are on mine. Choose." I had never felt the intensity of that call before. I had had a great deal of beautiful experiences with the Lord, but not like that. And I said to him, "I don't wish to go." I was having a conversation with the Lord in such a way that it was as if we were sitting side by side in my car. And within 9 months, like a birth, I was on a plane coming to Israel. I had never been here. I don't speak the language. I'm 73 years old coming, with 2 bags in my hand. And so here I was in a country where I don't speak the language and I don't know anybody, and I have no backup except a word from God saying, "I will provide and I will take care of you." In my own way, I thought, this is a wonderful time for me to really believe by faith everything that I have read, everything that I have understood. But now is the time to really allow what is happening to me to test God for my life. And so I said to the Lord, "Okay, no matter what happens, I won't move until you move me. I will do nothing but what you ask." And so I have been walking for the last 13 years in a country where God's footsteps are everywhere. His anointing is all over this land. His prophetic words just come out of the earth and speak to the heart. In this time, I have not only walked by faith, but I've come to know what faith really means. You can't read a book, you have to experience. Once you experience what God is talking to you about, then it becomes life. then it becomes real. Until it becomes real, you're just reading words. When you give over your life, then you're living according to His will for His purposes, and that's when He becomes truly the God of your life.
Adon Hakavod, melech hamlachim, shemesaka uvater, licht Anta malikum ajdi, anta risul salam, anta shamsu biri, washifa